I'm Azaria Tagaya and this is Nightline, the top stories. Government does not give room for people to escape from fulfilling their responsibilities as citizens. Sungai Golok bomb blast, security beefed up along Malaysia-Thailand border to prevent any movement of separatist groups entering Malaysia. Good morning. The Prime Minister has expressed optimism about the performance of the Inland Revenue Board (IRB), commending its achievements and new systems that have boosted efficiency. Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the government did not give the people, especially the upper class and the super rich, room to escape fulfilling their responsibilities as citizens. Anwar also expressed optimism that the IRB will achieve higher tax revenue collection this year and that the agency can perform better by implementing a new system that enhances efficiency.
And I think is more organised, more structured, and new instruments have been introduced like e-invoicing, and that has helped. And I believe if you can maintain that sort of a standard and discipline, they will be able to attain much better.
Anwar said this to the media after attending the 29th Hasil Day celebration in Cyberjaya on Monday. A total of 184.805 billion ringgit in tax revenue was successfully collected last year, compared to 183.3 billion ringgit in 2023. Anwar also expressed his appreciation to the public for their compliance in paying taxes, particularly key corporate figures who have fulfilled their obligations without exception. He stressed that the integrity possessed by the IRB is the foundation of this success. On another note, Anwar said the government is still open to discussing the terms set in the draft Memorandum of Understanding MOU on allocations for opposition members of parliament. The Prime Minister stated that MPs from the opposition bloc should use the proper channels to request amendments to the draft rather than causing a commotion in the Dewan Rakyat. Anwar addressed claims that the government has been unfair regarding allocations for opposition MPs and said that discussions must take place before any draft can be amended.
Mesyuaratlah dulu. Draft tu boleh dipindah. Ini nak bising di luar sebab apa? Nak jadi hero jalanan, belajar dulu. Jadi sekarang ni dia gunakan isu ini riuh rendah. Ada mengatakan kami sampai miskin kena hutang. Saya tahu berapa gaji ahli parlimen dengan allowance kalau mesyuarat semua. Dia cecah 30-40 ribu.
He added that projects in opposition-held constituencies were still ongoing but were being directly implemented rather than through the elected representative.
Projek itu tidak diberi kepada ahli parlimen. Projek itu kepada rakyat. Cuma ahli parlimen ada peranan untuk memberi usul atau cadangan. Jadi untuk menyatakan pertama, rakyat terbeban, tidak benar. Keduanya menyatakan oleh itu ahli parlimen jadi miskin papa kedana. Saya tak tahu kalau RM40,000 miskin lagi.
On Sunday, Perikatan National Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the opposition are strict and with unfair conditions set by the government. Children under the age of 18 born overseas to Malaysian mothers married to foreign men will now be entitled to apply for Malaysian citizenship under Article 15, Bracket 2 of the Federal Constitution. This follows an agreement reached at the Federal Court on Monday in a legal suit filed by 6 Malaysian mothers on the matter. A 5-member panel led by Chief Justice Tun Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat acknowledged the settlement between the involved parties, including the NGO, Family Frontiers and the 6 Malaysian mothers. As part of the terms, the Malaysian citizenship and documents previously granted to the applicants' children will remain valid, subject to provisions under the newly enacted Constitutional Amendment Act 2024. While the Act, passed by Parliament, grants both parents the right to confer Malaysian citizenship on their children born overseas, it does not apply retrospectively. Family Frontiers and the 6 women had initially filed the lawsuit at the High Court seeking recognition of their children's right to Malaysian citizenship. Meanwhile, the Federal Court's decision to grant children born overseas to Malaysian mothers the right to apply for citizenship is viewed as a step towards eliminating discrimination against women in nationality laws. Human Rights Commission of Malaysia Suhakam Children's Commissioner Dr. Farhanini Dusuki said the Commission is delighted with the outcome and hopes the administrative procedures will be straightforward and that Malaysian consulates overseas are updated on the matter to ensure children born overseas can submit their applications in good time before they turn 18. The Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry will enforce Section 5 of the Trade Descriptions Act 2011 to take action against those who provide false trade descriptions on the contents, type and labelling of rice. Its Minister, Dato' Amrizan Muhammad Ali, said this includes changing the packaging or label which may mislead consumers. In a statement on Monday, Amrizan said he was briefed by the Malaysian Agricultural Research and Development Institute, MARDI, on the findings of a study regarding the issue of mixing local white rice and imported white rice in the market. He said the ministry is beefing up its standard operating procedures to prevent unscrupulous parties from mixing local white rice and imported white rice to be sold at higher prices. According to him, there is a need to analyse rice samples to distinguish imported white rice from locally produced white rice before action can be taken. For this, MARDI's expertise in rice DNA technology will be used. It was previously reported that MARDI had developed DNA fingerprinting technology capable of identifying rice varieties and their origins with scientific evidence. Meanwhile, the Federation of Malaysian Consumers Associations, FOMCA, said the move to enforce the Trade Descriptions Act 2011 to address mixed rice violations is a step in the right direction. Its Secretary-General, Saravanan Thambiraja, proposed stiff penalties, including mandatory maximum jail terms and heavy fines for those found guilty of manipulating rice labelling and misleading the public. He urged the authorities to send a clear and strong message that food fraud will not be tolerated as it directly affects consumer safety and trust. Saravanan added that tight monitoring mechanisms must be put in place to prevent any future manipulation in the rice industry. The freeze on approvals for new foreign worker quotas remains in place to ensure that foreign employment does not exceed 15% of the national workforce. The decision aligns with the government's policy of prioritising local employment. Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim said the ruling, which was implemented on March 18, 2023, is intended to create more job opportunities for Malaysians.
Bagi mendokong dasar menetapkan pengajian pekerja asing tidak boleh melebihi 15% daripada guna tenaga negara menjelang 2025.
He added that last year, the government granted flexibility to certain industries to hire foreign workers. However, approvals were given strictly on a case-by-case basis, subject to stringent conditions. The General Operations Force, GOF, has deployed 3 battalions in efforts to boost security along the Malaysia-Thailand border following an explosion and gunfire incident in Sungai Golo over the weekend. The 7th and 9th battalions, along with intelligence units, have also been mobilised to prevent any movement of separatist groups from southern Thailand into Malaysia. Southeast Brigade GOF Commander Datuk Nik Ros Azhan Nik Abdul Hamid said border security had been tightened since the beginning of Ramadan, particularly at illegal crossings to curb smuggling and cross-border crimes. This is because authorities anticipate an increase in smuggling activities, especially involving goods for Hari Raya Aidilfitri celebrations and other prohibited items. Following the most recent attack, the Southeast Brigade has deployed security forces to strengthen the Malaysia-Thailand border and to prevent separatist groups from crossing into the country. On Sunday, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein instructed the GOF to enhance security along Sungai Golo following the armed attack and bombing in Narathiwat province. He said the GOF has been ordered to boost patrols at illegal crossings and in hotspots to prevent any security threats and ensure that the national border is not breached. In Terengganu, an elderly man pleaded not guilty to charges of causing grievous hurt to his wife. The accused, 76-year-old Siddiq Ismail, entered the plea after the charges were read out to him before the judge at the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court on Monday. The accused is alleged to have intentionally caused serious injury to the 70-year-old victim at a house in Dungun on February 23rd. He faces charges under Section 325 of the Penal Code, read together with Section 326A. The court set April 13th for further mention and granted bail of 8,000 ringgit. In Johor, police have crippled 2 drug distribution syndicates in 2 separate operations in Johor Bahru, resulting in seizures worth almost 7 million ringgit. The syndicates have been involved in blending multiple drugs such as ketamine, shabu and ecstasy into drink packets known as drug cocktails. Johor Police Chief Dato' M. Kumar said the syndicates were taken down during 2 special operations in Seri Alam and Johor Bahru on March 4th. In the first raid at about 7:20 a.m, police arrested 2 men and a Vietnamese woman aged between 25 and 29. Various types of drugs were found, including ecstasy powder, ecstasy pills, ketamine and RM7. Police also seized 2 cars, more than 15,000 ringgit in cash and jewellery worth more than 25,000 ringgit. Kumar said the cocktails had been disguised with popular beverage branding to deceive authorities before being sold for 250 ringgit per packet. 2 of the suspects tested positive for drugs, but only the woman had a drug-related criminal record. Police also arrested 3 men and a woman aged between 17 and 42 in a second operation at an apartment at 4:30 p.m. One of the suspects tested positive for methamphetamine, while 2 of them had prior criminal and drug records. Those arrested in the 2 operations have been remanded until Wednesday. The cases are being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act. The Employees Provident Fund EPF is expected to offer higher dividends for its Sharia savings compared to its conventional scheme in the future. This is driven by its effective investment strategy and strong risk management, which are expected to boost returns. Economic analyst Muhammad Khair Afham Muhammad Sinan has urged contributors to opt for the Sharia savings plan as it is free from elements of gambling, interest and uncertainty. Meanwhile, Bank Muamalat Chief Economist Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid noted that the surge in Sharia compliance stocks last year has been a key driver of the scheme's higher potential dividends. However, he emphasised that EPF dividend rates remain subject to global market conditions, including trade tariff issues that could impact returns this year. Local institutions sustained their support for the domestic market for the 20th consecutive week, registering a robust net inflow of 617.3 million ringgit into domestic equities. Local retail investors continued their net buying streak for the 4th consecutive week, recording a net inflow of 264.2 million ringgit, a slight decrease from 447.9 million ringgit last week. According to MIDF research, the average daily trading volume fell across most investor categories, with local institutions being the only group to record an increase. Meanwhile, foreign investors recorded a net sell of 646 million ringgit in equities last week, reflecting continued selling pressure. The sectors seeing the highest net foreign inflows were technology, telecommunications and media and plantation, while the sectors with the most significant net foreign outflows were financial services, consumer products and services and utilities. Thailand's government wants to lift economic growth above its target of 3% this year and is confident a strong first half will be followed by momentum from the rollout of the next phase of its signature stimulus program. Finance officials on Monday said the government is also targeting export growth of more than 4% and a weaker baht would help meet that goal. The economy grew 3.2% in the final quarter of 2024 from a year earlier and expanded 2.5% over the whole year, less than expected and lagging behind peers. The government is pinning its hopes on its vaunted stimulus program to jumpstart an economy that has struggled since the pandemic. Sporting maintains lead at top of the table. Sports after this breather.
Warga emas gian morfin, pot pencawang jadi sara. Masalah kesihatan jadi alasan ketagihan.
Apa pasal you angkat itu barang?
Asma.
Kalau sakit dia tu mari.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Afak, ni kan nak balik kampung waktu raya ni. Ambil kucing macam mana?
Saya dah buat perancangan awal dah ni. Ambil je pet sitter ataupun hantar dekat hotel kucing.
Penyakit kusta, apakah punca dan rawatannya?
Kebersihan dan keselamatan makanan di bazar. Awasi risiko sakit perut dan keracunan.
Kalau memandu di jalan raya tu, jangan terlalu ikutkan emosi. Takut nanti jadi pembuli di jalan raya.
Harga emas ni lagi. Ini peluang untuk kita melabur ni dan juga cipta keuntungan.
Saksikan Malaysia hari ini di aplikasi Tonton.
Jam 10 pagi eksklusif di TV3.
Time puasa ni selalu teringin nak makan benda-benda manis. Jangan risau sebab ada 2 resipi yang sangat sedap, senang dan yang penting sihat nak share dengan korang. I'm sure semua orang akan suka sangat. Look at how beautiful that is. Bau dia, I memang tak boleh nak explain. Rasa dia lagilah. Cuma menggunakan 3 bahan, I sendiri tak percaya. I love it. Mesti korang terfikir, ada ke dessert sihat? Tapi tengok. So, korang memang kena cuba.
Seorang pelajar didera dan dipukul ekoran daripada kehilangan komputer riba.
Ayah hantar awak pergi ke universiti, sihat walafiat badannya. Kembali anak saya dengan keadaan yang begitu mengecewakanlah.
Mangsa meninggal dunia pada 1 hari bulan Jun. Jadi persoalan apa yang berlaku selama 10 hari ini.
Sports now, football, the Brazilian Campeonato Paulista. Corinthians secured a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Santos to seal a place in the final. Yuri Alberto gave Corinthians the lead in the 12th minute with a powerful right-footed shot from outside the penalty box. Santos remained determined and equalised through Tiquinho Suarez, who headed home into the bottom right corner just before the half-time whistle. Ramon Diaz's side fought back in the second half with Rodrigo Garro netting the winning goal for Corinthians 4 minutes before the hour mark with a brilliant left-footed shot. The match took a turn for the worse for Santos when they were reduced to 10 men after a last-ditch challenge by Zé Evaldo and later to 9 due to a dangerous tackle by Gonzalo Escobar. Still on football, the Portuguese Primeira Liga, reigning champion Sporting earned an important win, beating Casa Pia 3-1. The Lions took a 12-minute lead through Gonçalo Inácio, who headed in a fine cross from Giovanni Quenda. Victor Gyökeres put the visitors 2 up in the 34th minute when he latched on to Morten Hillman's long pass before beating keeper Patrick Sequeira with a low cross shot. The hosts got back into the game on the streak of half-time as Ricardo Esgaio turned a dangerous cross from Gaisca Larrazabal into his own net. Gyökeres, however, put the game to bed in the 77th minute by converting from the penalty spot to ensure a comfortable 3-1 victory for Rui Boer's side. The win brings Sporting to 59 points, lifting them 3 points ahead of arch rivals Benfica. On to tennis, the 2025 Indian Wells Open. Holger Rune staged an impressive comeback against Hugo Humbert when he booked his ticket to the last 16 with a 3-set win over the Frenchman. Despite losing the first set 5-7, the 12th-seeded Dane clawed his way back into the game to claim the next 2 sets 6-4, 7-5, marking his first top 20 win on hard court in 12 months. Rune will take on 8th-seeded Stefanos Tsitsipas for a place in the quarter-finals. Joining him was Arthur Fils, who fought off a match point late in the second set and ultimately turned around his showdown against Lorenzo Musetti. After losing the first 4 games of the match and erasing that match point at 5-6 in set 2, Fils claimed the lone break point of the deciding set to notch a 3-6, 7-6, 6-3 victory to set up a meeting with Marcos Giron in the next round. Earlier, Japanese qualifier Yosuke Watanuki beat 16th-seeded American Francis Tiafoe 6-4, 7-6 to reach the round of 16. The 26-year-old will take on Talon Guixpo next. Mark Carney to become Canada's next Prime Minister. The details when Nightline returns.
To create new trading relationships with...
Seorang pelajar didera dan dipukul ekoran daripada kehilangan komputer riba.
Ayah hantar awak pergi ke universiti, sihat walafiat badannya. Kembali anak saya dengan keadaan yang begitu mengecewakanlah.
Mangsa meninggal dunia pada 1 hari bulan Jun. Jadi persoalan apa yang berlaku selama 10 hari ini.
Wanita hari ini.
Kalau bercinta, kita keluariti siapa yang akan bayar, lelaki ke wanita? Betul lah, orang kata bercinta ni banyak akan modal. Roti jala, murtabak, ayam bercik, ya Allah sedapnya. Ini semua antara menu yang popular di Bazar Ramadan. Pantang nampak semua nak beli. Kita kenalah bijak untuk mengawal nafsu. Jangan ambil mudah pasal kesihatan mental. Semua orang harus prihatin tentang keadaan ini. Betul ke suami mencorakkan isteri? Nak tahu, tengok Dr. Hishai. Semuanya di Wanita Hari Ini TV3 dan stream ditonton.
Wanita Hari Ini.
Indahkan memori Ramadan dengan Sembang Sahur.
Masya Allah, apa jam celik-celik sebenarnya. Tiba-tiba dah Sembang Sahur kembali.
Pengisian menarik pengalaman Ramadan artis jemputan sebagai perkongsian bersama.
Mendekati dan berkongsi rezeki dalam segmen Singgah Sahur.
Orang yang terbaik itu adalah orang yang memberi manfaat.
Menu masakan ilham Chef Naim dalam Jom Masak.
Sembang Sahur
setiap Rabu dan Khamis
jam 11 malam
hanya di TV3.
Warga emas gian morfin, pot pencawang jadi sarap.
Jumlah apa? Jatuh tu. Tak boleh tongkat ni, ikut je lagu.
Masalah kesihatan jadi alasan ketagihan.
Apa pasal you angkat itu barang?
Asma. Kalau sakit biasa, mari.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us on Nightline. Singapore's Home Affairs Ministry is putting in efforts to combat online scams by requiring advertisers and e-commerce sellers to verify their identities against government-issued records. The ministry emphasised the need for the industry to eliminate the focus on money worship, extravagance and excessive speculation, stressing that the importance of verification in reducing fraudulent activities. It said if scam numbers do not decline significantly, stronger measures such as mandatory verification may be implemented. Under the e-commerce Code of the Online Criminal Harms Act, digital platforms such as Carousel and Facebook Marketplace and advertisements have been piloting identity verification measures for 6 months. A team of mid-level Israeli negotiators arrived in Qatar on Monday for indirect negotiations with Hamas on the fate of the Gaza ceasefire, as the two sides remain sharply at odds over the next stage. The resumption of the negotiations is taking place against a backdrop of uncertainty over the fate of the January ceasefire deal. Moreover, it was reported that Israel's level of representation in Doha underlined an apparent lack of interest in negotiating the second phase of the deal, which involves an end to the Gaza war and a full Israeli withdrawal from the territory. Earlier, U.S. envoy Adam Boehler, who recently held unprecedented direct talks with Hamas officials, said a deal could be reached within weeks to secure the release of all remaining hostages. However, Israel is increasing pressure on Hamas to release the captives, cutting off the supply of electricity to Gaza a week after it halted the entry into the enclave of all humanitarian assistance. A one-day strike by workers at 13 German airports has caused the cancellation of thousands of flights on Monday. The 24-hour walkout, which started at midnight, involves public sector employees as well as ground and security staff at the airports. According to officials, more than 500,000 people could face travel disruption across the country, with more than 3,400 expected flight cancellations. The operator of Frankfurt Airport, Germany's busiest, has said that no passenger flights will depart from there on Monday. The airport operator also said that delays and cancellations may extend into Tuesday. Former central banker Mark Carney wins the race to become leader of Canada's ruling Liberal Party and will succeed Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. Official results released on Sunday revealed that Carney received 86% of the votes cast, defeating former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland in a contest where just under 152,000 party members voted out of nearly 400,000 total members. Carney, who is expected to be sworn in the coming days, will take over at a tumultuous time in Canada, which is in the the midst of a trade war with longtime ally, the United States, under President Donald Trump, and must hold a general election soon. The 59-year-old argued that he was best placed to revive the party and to oversee trade negotiations with Trump, who is threatening additional tariffs that could cripple Canada's export-dependent economy.
Plan to build a stronger economy.
South Korean prosecutors on Monday will pursue impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol's conviction for insurrection, despite a court decision ordering his release from prison. Prosecutor General Shim Woo-jung said he disagreed with the court's assessment that the indictment was filed after Yoon's detention period had expired, making his detention illegal. Asked whether the court's ruling meant it was likely to drop the case, he said the prosecution will do everything they can to pursue the indictment. Previously, Yoon was impeached by Parliament and remains suspended from power. The Constitutional Court is expected to decide whether to overturn the impeachment or remove him from office soon. If Yoon is removed, a new presidential election will be held within 60 days. In other news, North Korea fired several ballistic missiles into the Yellow Sea near the Korean peninsula on Monday, as South Korea and the United States initiated their military drills. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said it detected the launch near the western county of Hwangju in North Hwanghae province around 1:50 p.m. local time, noting that it may have involved close-range ballistic missiles. The launch came hours after North Korea condemned the South Korean and US militaries for launching drills, calling it a dangerous, provocative act that could lead to an aggravated security crisis between the two countries. Meanwhile, the Joint Chiefs of Staff has increased surveillance and maintained full readiness posture under close cooperation with the United States. Well, that is it for Nightline. Before we leave, let's take a look at the burning of bull sculptures in central Mexico, the highlight of an annual fair that showcases the talents of firework artisans. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.